All right, it's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers. And I have with me in the studio Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst Sesan Okunade. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Veronica. Thank God it's Friday, and also let me appreciate God that we are alive.
Absolutely.
To tell the story of the sad happening that happened last year.
Right.
We give all the glory to God that we are on our feet to tell the story.
That's true. We can only be grateful to God for keeping us alive to tell the stories. We have CEO CKN News, Kehinde Nwandu, joining us via Zoom. Chris, can you hear me? Good morning. All right. He will join us much later as soon as he can. But let's head straight to the papers now. Begin with the Daily Times. Buhari to service chiefs. Make sure nothing stops Anambra Guba poll. Buhari to service chiefs. Make sure nothing stops Anambra Guba poll. You find all of the details on the pages of the Daily Times. We move now to the First News newspaper. I am not guilty, Nnamdi Kanu tells court. I am not guilty, Nnamdi Kanu tells court. To the Punch newspaper now, Nnamdi Kanu's trial. NBA, Ohaneze, others attack federal government as DSS bars lawyers, journalists. Banning lawyers, journalists, despicable. Court is a public place. The NBA, that's the Nigeria Bar Association, is reacting there. Ohaneze demands federal government's apology over treatment of Igbo delegation. You find all of the details on the pages of the Punch newspaper. To the Guardian now, Southeast on lockdown, jubilant mood as Kanu pleads not guilty. And Eziefe, Igbo leader Showore, journalist barred from court. Sit at home, Southeast on full compliance. Schools, markets, banks remain shut. IPOB gives condition to dialogue with federal government. We won't relent until Kanu detained IPOB members regain freedom, says Ohaneze. Explore dialogue, alternative resolution to ease tension. Federal government told heavy security in Asaba over Kanu's trial. All right, we move to the Leadership newspaper now. Attacks on train tracks ground Abuja-Kaduna rail operations. Attacks on train tracks ground Abuja-Kaduna rail operations. To this Nigerian newspaper, Abuja-Kaduna railway explosives, terrorist attack halts train services. Sheikh Hussain and many others escape death. NRC suspend operations. You find all of the details on the pages of this Nigerian newspaper. Daily Trust, ISWAP and Saru bomb rail track ground Abuja-Kaduna services. We heard a bang before train came to a standstill. Commuters, NRC to lose 19 million naira daily to service suspension. And the federal government confirms killing of new ISWAP leader Bako. All right, you have details on the Daily Trust. To the Nigerian News Direct, Nigerians in danger as hospitals administer expired blood to patients. Nigerians in danger as hospitals administer expired blood to patients. DG Blood Commission speaking there. 75% of blood donation commercialized. House of Reps speaking as well. That's a very concerning development there. To the national economy, Nigeria not maximizing diaspora remittances despite high migrant workers. Nigeria not maximizing diaspora remittances despite high migrant workers. All right, to the front page of the blueprint, NNPC GMD at editors conference, Port Harcourt refinery to be fixed before end of the year. Blames moribund facilities on greedy elite corruption. To the business day now, how Lome, Tema, Abidjan ports are eating Nigeria's lunch. How Lome, Tema, Abidjan ports are eating Nigeria's lunch. Details on the pages of the business day. All right, and to the Nation newspaper now. Explosion on Abuja-Kaduna rail track disrupts operations. Hundreds of passengers stranded. We are working to resume services, says NRC boss. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Sun, Kanu pleads not guilty, says Nigerian court can't try him. Explore dialogue, alternative resolution. Ohaneze tells federal government Southeast paralyzed trailer shop set ablaze shootings in Aba. All right, Sesan, let's look at, or rather, let's begin with one of the major stories from the papers this morning, talking about the rail tracks that was attacked by ISWAP, according to reports. And we know that that rail line, Abuja-Kaduna, is a major mode of transportation for a lot of persons who have decided that the roads are not too safe for them, and so they decided to use the train tracks. And now we see this attack on the rail. I wonder what you make of this development.
Thank you very much, Vera. Quite disheartening, but at the same time, grateful to God that from the attack, we did not hear of any life being lost. So, but it will take us to the area where we have been saying that of a truth, one of the cardinal points of this administration is security, economic empowerment and growth. And again, the selling point is always that we are building infrastructure. One of the infrastructure they are proud of all the time is this Kaduna-Abuja rail system. And come to think about it, we've said it, even when you build the best infrastructure in the world and there is no security, we are prone to lose this at a jiffy. And that is what has actually happened. With the unrest, you can imagine from the other, NRC is saying that they will lose 19 million daily. Imagine if they are to cut off a system for the next few days, let's even say 5 days. You're already running into hundreds of millions, all because of what? Insecurity. And we have said it, can we address this issue and let there be safety in the land? Let there be peace in the land. What is the reason for these agitations here and there? It's about people feel cheated, unfairness, inequality of treating people, and we go about telling us that banditry are not terrorists, they are only criminal, they can be handled, they are only expressing their grievances, while they are wasting the asset of every one of us. Some of the mode of doing some of this project is via our via taxpayers' money, and these are just being lost on the jiffy. If I've gone through that Kaduna-Abuja road. The last time I was with a friend, I was like, come to think about it, this seems we are closer to the terrorist than the town, because it's just a vast bush that the train needs to go through. Who monitor? What are the surveillance that we put on the rail for people to say in between areas where there are no town or villages? How are we monitoring it? Because if there is surveillance there, we will be able to know at a particular point in time that this is what has happened, and we'll nip it by the bud. It's quite disheartening, and it takes us back to what we've been telling the federal government. It's good to have good infrastructure. It's good to invest in them. But if you don't take care of those bad elements that are out to frustrate things, you can never imagine the next step. I don't think anybody will think about it, but they have seen that the road, everybody has abandoned the road because that's their means of attack. They have not resorted into where the elites and those people, the business people that goes about their normal business, the next area where they go to is via rail. When I was in Kaduna, I had to use the rail, fly to Abuja, back to Kaduna. Very, very okay. But now that has been another place of attack, so how do you expect us to move? Economic definitely will be grounded. Right. Yes. People move from Kaduna to Abuja on daily basis to carry out their business in a very smooth manner. In fact, there are
those who do businesses around the rail station who
that earns daily income.
Yeah.
So with the break in this,
complaining now.
You've shut their source of livelihood. So let's address the issue of security, irrespective of the amount of infrastructure we are building. These people, they don't have that they don't have that mercy. They are ready to bring it. You see, what you built for years, how long did it didn't take them so long before they planted those things and they demolished. what took us years. We started this rail process from Jonathan administration, come into this administration, and just within a day, within few hours, this was actually destroyed. So government should please address the issue of insecurity. It's becoming an eyesore that everybody is not feeling safe, either on the road or on the rail.
Right. We need to quickly go on a commercial break, and after that, we'll continue reviewing the newspaper headlines. Stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. Let's bring in CEO CKN News, Kehinde Nwandu, to join the conversation and look through the paper headlines this morning. Chris, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Auntie Vero, good morning. Thank God it's Friday once again.
Thank God it's Friday. We are looking at the issues around the train tracks that was attacked yesterday, I believe. And, Sesan had given his reaction to that development. And I wonder what you make of this as well, bearing in mind that this is one major mode of transportation for a lot of persons applying that route because they feel that the roads are not too safe and that the trains were better off.
Yes, it's quite unfortunate. And this goes to show the level of security in the land, as well articulated by Sesan. Come to realize that we have always thought that the rail is the safest means of transportation. It used to be across the globe. Even some people prefer going by the rail rather than flying. Some of us have flight phobia, and if I have the opportunity of flying and taking the well-articulated rail, I'd rather go for the train, go to other parts of the world. People enjoy traveling by beds. For years, our rail system have been comatose, and that is why there's so much pressure on the road. Practically everything is being carried, both passengers, goods, and service goods ferried through the roads, which has so much pressure on the road, which is why we see all the level of bad roads and all the bad roads we have here. So we thought that was going to be a new way of life, and it will help making sure that Nigerians were able to move fast and safely to their places or wherever they want to go to. But what happened yesterday or a few days ago is just a very, very terrible situation. According to what we had, according to the report by Senator Sesan, there is not just one train, there are two train attacks, according to him. I don't think they've given any verification to that. All I know that they've closed down the thing. According to Senator Sesan, there was a first attack. A train was first attacked, and where the death terrorists, as it were, grounded the train, aimed for the drivers of the train, or whatever we call them, and that was attacked. Less than 24 hours, also 3 hours later, then you had the explosion on the rail track that destroyed the rail track and almost derailed it. And so we have serious issue on our hands. And when we continue to talk about the issue of insecurity, and somebody is telling us that, oh, we are more safer than 20, we are in 2015, and it's reducing, and the president calling on journalists to tune down their reportage of insecurity across Nigeria. Journalists, we only have one job. The only job we have is to report things, and we don't manufacture stories. So anything you see in the front page of newspapers, or you watch on TVC, or listen to on radio, or even online, these are the true reflection of what is happening. So it's not, the news is not coming from, we are not the one that manufactured the attack on the train. The trains were, we had that attack. So it only takes insecurity to the next level. And that is what is happening now. They move from road, they are on trade tracks, and we don't know where they will go next, whether it's going to be on air, God forbid. The security agencies, our security agencies are overwhelmed, as it were, but we cannot give up, because doing that is handing our destiny into the hands of the terrorists, as it were, and we are going to turn into another banana republic and a country where lives and properties and don't forget, as we always say, the primary responsibility of every government, as enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 Constitution as amended, is the security of life and property. And any government that has not been able to do that then it's as good as not good. So the NRC had come out to say that they shut down those tracks and train services will be disrupted. Probably they will try to get that fixed. But don't also forget that we also have an issue with some of the trains. There have been instances where we've had that. Just imagine if there have been one or two instances where those trains break down on that same route between Abuja and Kaduna, I think twice or thrice. If that train broke down somewhere and those terrorists had an opportunity of coming across that train, you would have imagined what would have happened.
Right.
So so I pray that we'll be able to get this right. The issue of security is affecting every aspect of our lives, every aspect in totality, and our economy is the worst for it.
Right. Let's bring the conversation to the studio, Sesan. Like you pointed out earlier, talking about the fact that, it seems we're handling this matter with regards to the activities of bandits with kids' gloves, in terms of not naming them as terrorists, like it's been said, and that toning down on their activities. If we are to address these matters head on and tackle it, because businesses have been affected, the infrastructure being put in place by government is also been affected. What more should we be doing now to address these matters? Because it seems a lot has been said by people making recommendations, but that seems not to be changing anything.
For me, which is personal, I think it's just capital punishment we give to the set of people. It's quite disheartening when you
derail the activities.
Why won't it? You pick one today, you kill. You pick the one tomorrow, you kill. By the time you kill 100 out of, let's say even 500, you've reduced them. And anyone trying to make attempt to go into such business will weigh the consequence. As it is, there is no consequence for going into some of this business. Rather, what we have been saying is having an handshake with them when they surrender. You cannot be, if you are evil, even if you decide to be saint tomorrow, there will be element of that evil attitude in you. All you need is to just have an atmosphere to ignite that fire. Somebody who has an anger and suddenly said, I've given all, I want to be a very peaceful person, just cheat on or do something that will bring out that nature in you. Once you have that stain inside of you, it's inside of you. You can change because of circumstances around you, but it doesn't change your person. Even in the scripture, it's there. If you read about the man they call Paul, he used all his aggressiveness while he was out there. Even when he became Christ, he doesn't tolerate rubbish. So the truth of the matter is, government should take those people. We should not paint what is not. If you are a criminal, you are a criminal. If you are a criminal, you face the consequence. Let the judiciary speed up whatever they need to fix, and let's continue to deter these people by making sure that you have killed by the sword, you will die by the sword. This atmosphere of saying, punishment, celebrating them and saying we have an handshake, they've repented, let's give them vehicle, give them generator, and the people that have actually been dealt with are still in the IDP camp, not doing anything.
No closure for those ones.
Some of them have been distanced away from their home. All they do is wake up, eat, which is even a problem to some of them. They want to exercise their right, be engaged in doing something, economically be empowered. But what have you done? You are empowering the people that send them out of the house by saying they have suddenly repented. For me, it's my personal view. Is capital punishment so that I can serve as deterrent, not to the people that are there now, but the people that have the intention of saying, should I consider this as a means of livelihood, as some of them are doing?
All right. Yeah, CKN, I wonder if you think that capital punishment, if introduced as part of punishment, bringing justice and also ensuring that people are held accountable for their actions, will deter persons and derail the activities of these persons who are carrying out all of these activities?
I won't blame Sesan, my brother. He's speaking from the point of a layman, as we is not learned, quote and unquote. So,
the senior colleague, sir.
So an accountant is not learned. But on the serious note, Nigeria is a signatory to several international conventions, what we call international conventions, and also on the issue of human rights. Yes, I know how problematic and how traumatic these issues are, but the fact remains that, let me also tell you that capital punishment has not solved any problem, any part of the world, name it. Even in China, where you have serious capital punishment, and even in some Arabian countries. But what I just think is that we need to have the power, the will, to be able to make sure that all those that are being arrested for criminality go through the normal system and get punished, and not to get punished through long time jails and rest of them. And I also believe that just as we are advocating for financial crime courts and rest of them, we should now start having specialized courts now to try issues like this. That in itself will hasten the trial period. We cannot issue of banditry, terrorism, and rest of them. They cannot continue going through the conventional courts, which takes so much time. And taking further, the federal government itself is through its body language is not doing enough. The federal government, for months now, have been telling us that they have a list of those that have been supporting terrorism. They have a list of those that have been engaged in terrorism. They are going to publish names. They are going to shame them. They are going to do this. How many names have been published? Saudi in Dubai, about some months back, we just saw about 5 or 6 people that were people fingered for terrorism. Within weeks, they were tried and jailed. Those are sponsors. And so many other countries. You saw what happened in Chad, the former Chadian leader, what he did. So what we need to do is that we should stop treating this guy. Even Governor El-Rufai that started this idea of let us negotiate with them, now have come out to say that they should be declared as terrorists. But our government is not kind enough to do that. Rather, what are they doing? They are running after iPod. iPod have been banned, have been declared terrorists, and the rest of them. We are running after Igboho and his cohorts. But the main guys that are committing all sorts of atrocities across the board, we are treating them with the Minister of Information come out to say that, they are not bad, we should not treat them. Okay, that we're going to put them in the same place, on the same page with IPOB and Igbo. This is not true. It is not true. You go to Lekki, you see people that are protesting. You go there and you tear gas them. Are there the problem of Nigeria? Those are not the problem. Those are not the problem. And the situation where you might, and also you also create this kind of analogy, because when you stop people from expressing themselves, what alternative they have? Some of them will just go back to criminality. But what is happening across the with the so-called bandits and terrorists and whatever you call them has got to the point where the government has to be very, very decisive, killing them and bringing them up, bringing them to bar beach and seeing them is, I don't believe, is because they, as I said, illegally. You can even in terms of war, when somebody in war situation, when you have somebody you are at war with surrenders and bring a white flag, what do? You don't kill the person, or else you'll be charged for
extrajudicial killing.
Extrajudicial killing and rest of them. But what I think is that we should have the holistic and the realistic agenda to make sure that everybody, both the sponsors and some of those that have been arrested, are thoroughly dealt with, so that it remains a deterrent to others.
And that would be a fine place to leave the conversation, CKN, because we've run out of time. Thank you so much, CEO CKN News, Kehinde Nwandu, as well as a Chartered Accountant of Public Affairs Analyst Sesan Okunade, for your time on the program.
Thank you very much, Vero, for having me, and thank you to my learned colleague for putting the right perspective.
You're not a learned colleague, you're an accountant.